Hi, this is Rod with Custom Chronicles. Today we're here at the Ocean City Swap Meet for their bike week, and I've come across this fine gentleman. His name's Oliver Jones. If you don't know who he is, look him up, and I'm going to let him talk about this beautiful chopper that he's built.
All right, man. Let's start on this side. Basically, this is a bike I built for Born Free show in California. I don't remember what year it was. Born Free 11, maybe? Anyway, I can't really say it's this year or that year because it's literally made from a million different parts. The main thing with this is the bottom end of this engine is a flathead. It's like a 1940 UL, and then the top end is from a knucklehead. 1946 knucklehead top end, open rockers, obviously you can see, and dual carbed. It's doing an overhead conversion on a flathead is not common, so there was not really much to go off on doing this. The other thing that you'll, I'd say the other most noticeable thing on this is the frame. Basically, because the engine is made from dissimilar parts, I wanted to make all the metal stuff from dissimilar metals. So this is actually cast aluminum, this frame section here. And the rest of the frame is all steel, and that confuses a lot of people because you can't weld steel and aluminum. And the way I did it, and purposefully sort of to keep you guessing. So yeah, cast aluminum, joined to stainless, then joined to cast iron on the bottom. What else? The wheels are cast aluminum centers with a steel engraved chrome tube. They're bolted together. The front end is all chromoly, made from one piece. Tricky thing with the way the bars are made and internally stopped here. Yeah, I mean, people always look like, well, how do you take the front end off? It looks like it's one piece. The bars are internally slugged and they go into the front end, and the joint is covered where the top tree is. So I tried to make this bike tricky. It's confusing. I wanted, when people look at it, to really, I basically wanted the stance to be sort of like traditional chopper, skinny chopper stance, but the more you look at this bike, the more it'll suck you in and confuse you as to, wait, what's actually going on here? What am I looking at?
Well, let me interject.
Yeah.
One of the things that I see when I look at it is, well, one, I'm a paint guy, so I see the paint first, but
Yes.
we'll go beyond that.
Yes.
What I see is a very smooth bike where it doesn't have a bunch of nuts and bolts poking out everywhere. And you know, you got the obvious things like the axle nuts and of course the hardware on the motor, and then some attachment things for like the motor mounts and stuff like that. But all in all, it's a clean, smooth looking bike. That's what I visually see as we'll say a bystander that's just first time looking at it.
Yeah, I try to keep everything real flowing and you know, where the lines would all sort of complement each other. You know, there's little things on the bike, the way I angled certain pieces that complement other pieces, and there were like the length of the pipes is the exact length of the front end. So there's a lot of things, like conscious thought into like why things are this length or that angle or this size or whatever. Yeah, there's quite a bit. I wanted sort of like a really mechanical weird bike with these dissimilar metals, but also like sort of elegant with the color and the engraving and the chroming. And another conscious thing was because it's dissimilar metals, I knew when I first did it, everything was just full polished chrome, everything. I knew over time the polish on the aluminum would start to fade versus the stainless. So over time, you would actually get more of the dissimilar metal thing happening, and it would be easier to see that. So now that the bike's been built for 6 years or whatever it's been, I actually like it. You know, the pipes have yellowed a little bit. the aluminum has faded, and you can actually see more of the variance in the metals.
Yeah, like the golden
Yes.
tone to the cylinders.
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you've done this with anybody else, like when you're talking about these bikes. I'm going to point out what I see, and then maybe you can make a quick commentary on it. One of the things I enjoy about this motorcycle in particular is you got the filigree tying in
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
Down here, this
Yep.
is a nice little detail down here, and that's just a nice detail, as well as we'll say the black shadowing on the paint that's even down here on the bottom side.
Yes.
And so when you were building that, obviously, you know.
Yeah, I wanted a lot of this stuff, like especially on the tank. So, you know, we talked about this, but it's candy brandywine over a silver base. This molded piece here is all metal. I did all the metal work here. And when I painted it, I went back with a black airbrush and sort of highlighted these like junctions and ribs and different things that I did, just because I wanted it to. I like the sort of tonal differences in the metal. I like that if you didn't have this, you might not even notice it, or it may just look like a shadow. I wanted to sort of highlight that. A lot of stuff on the frame here, like, because I made the whole frame. At the junction points on the frame, I added basically like lugs, like a you know, traditional road bike or track bike would have, bicycle. So like all of this is my doing, and then again just highlighting some stuff here, you know, again all down here with the highlight and stuff. Yeah, it's all conscious thought and stuff that I did. Like this piece on the back is actually, so this fender was modified heavily, cut off the tip of the fender, then sand cast it. These pieces I actually carved from wood, sand cast them, then modified them, welded them together, and made this rear fender brace, fender tip combo. Let's see what else. The outer primary is cast aluminum. The carbs are all modified. They're very shaved down, slimmed down, shaved down. The velocity stacks are custom made into the carbs. The way I did the gas cap here is an older style bayonet gas cap that's essentially flush mounted. It's the whole mounting apparatus is the whole filler neck basically is flush with the tank,
Or Frenched in.
Frenched in, correct. Which, you know, on most of these are, you know, popped. So just little things like that. Basically every single piece on the bike is made from scratch or heavily modified.
You were saying earlier when you were explaining to the person it was about 9 months to build it. And another little detail here on this side is got the dragon's feet.
Yep.
With the balls there, which is really nice. You got a little chain, and then of course the hidden brake down here. I've got to hear you explain that a few times.
Yeah.
And these are the details that just make this a really just great build. And I've known you a short time, but I appreciate the fact that you do methods that are not just standard, you know, welding, sheet metal and whatnot, with the casting and some of the old hot rod things like Frenching in that's super cool. And then these details here, and of course the highlighting these ribs here. That's this is the stuff that I appreciate. And it ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a really clean looking bike from my standpoint.
Thank you.
And that's why you get invited to the shows and I don't.
I mean, it's definitely there's a lot going on with this bike. It's very busy because of the nature of it being dual carbed, and it's very open and exposed. So a lot of the stuff that is open and exposed, I really wanted to highlight and sort of not over the top, but sort of like make it elegant. You know, I just did some gold accents on these valve spring collars, and like there's an intermediate mid primary between the inner and the outer primary that I just did gold plated. Just a very small detail, but you know, I consider this sort of like jewelry, and when I was doing that, it reminded me of a sort of like a Rolex band where, you know, it would be stainless, gold, stainless kind of thing. So sort of, you know, just again playing off that.
Well, it's a beautiful bike. You did a good job, and I appreciate you taking the time just to even entertain showing this, well, and explaining it to me as well. There's hopefully the people that meander across my channel recognize you first for what you've already done, and two is that this is kind of a departure from what you normally do, it seems, which is more on that bike over there, the FXR. Am I correct?
I mean, I started more on choppers when I first got into motorcycles, and then after moving and doing a lot more touring and cross-country rides, the FXR thing really appealed to me. I never really understood it at first, and now I fully love it. But you know, my roots are this more, I would say.
Okay, so I got that backwards.
Well, you know, it depends where you pick up my story at which point, because I will say in the last whatever many years I have been doing way more of those bikes, and I've been way more almost known for the newer performance stuff. But yeah, my roots are in this, and a lot of my early choppers were performance based, so that it's sort of like a natural progression to me, I guess. This is definitely not my norm. Like this sort of like full show, like very elegant is not. I'm more of like a, you know, I like dark and tough and fast and stuff, and this I wanted to do something like this. But I think, you know, also if you look at a bike like this and you look at my other bikes that are not this style, you could still definitely put the two next to each other and make the connection. It's not totally out of my wheelhouse, but yeah, it was a bit of a departure.
All right, well, wonderful. I think I'm done taking up your time. I appreciate it, and well, we'll see what you do next.
Cool. Can I plug my YouTube channel as
well? Sure,
There's,
absolutely.
There
it is.
I don't know if, yeah, Rod, yeah. Look me up on YouTube, The Cut Rate, and yeah, see you soon.